Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney and today we're going to be talking about 10 easy spring blouses for you to sew. This can be if you are a brand new beginner, just learning how to sew, a fantastic options for you, or if you're someone that's been sewing forever and you just want something quick like a palette cleanser, or you have a beautiful fabric that you want a more simple top to show off. We're going to be going through 10 different patterns today, some that you may be aware of and some that might be new to you. To give you a little bit of inspiration as we're going into the warmer months, and there's a challenge associated with this, so we'll be talking about that a little bit more too. But before we get into that, I have an exciting announcement. I have got a discount code for you guys. So Cashmerette, if you're not familiar, I love Cashmerette patterns. In fact, one of their regular catalog patterns are on this list, but they have got a club that, 3 different tiers of their membership club that includes the all access, which is the top tier, so you have to pay for that yearly, includes all of these patterns. So you get a new pattern every single month with the lower tiers, and then if you have all access, you get access to the entire back catalog. But you want to talk about not only some really great patterns, but also a lot of mix and match options, like the bodice that will also go with the sleeves of this pattern, or the top of this can go to the skirt of this. Just a lot of really great ways to mix and match and create a really beautiful wardrobe. But what is really exciting is that they are starting for the second year in a row their sloper school. So what a sloper is a well, technically a moulage is an exact copy of your body in fabric. Like if you were to make a garment, it would be like skin tight, like you wouldn't be able to move. A sloper has a little bit of ease added into it. So you would use a sloper if you were, for instance, drafting yourself a fitted sheath dress, something that just fit you to perfection. So what the sloper school at Cashmerette does is goes through the process of creating a sloper, but because it is basically the tightest fitting garment you would ever make for yourself, it makes a really good base for doing some pattern drafting and making yourself a fitted sheath dress, among other things. And it also helps you identify some fit adjustments that you're going to need to make to other Cashmerette patterns as well. Anyway, Sloper School, you can buy it as is. It's an 11-week long intensive, hands-on. Jenny from Cashmerette is in there and all that kind of stuff. $175 for that. Or if you are an all-access member, and I'll talk about that price in a second. If you are an all-access member, it's free. It's included, which is a fantastic value. So to be an all-access member, it's $156 for the year. And that not only includes the Sloper School, which obviously is much cheaper than buying the Sloper School, but it not only includes that, but it includes all of the patterns that they've released in their club since, I feel like 2023, maybe? Like February of 2023. So there's a ton of patterns there, as well as there's discount codes in there, and there's lives and master classes and all sorts of stuff that are associated with that all access tier. And I have a code. Tomcat10 is going to get you $10 off your first year of all access. So you can actually get it for $146 for the year as opposed to $156 for the year of that all access. So it is a really great thing. If you've been thinking about doing the Cashmerette all access, now's a great time to do that. And the sign up window for that Sloper School started yesterday on the 14th and it goes through the 27th. So my code for the $10 off the all access is good through the 27th. So yes, definitely go over and take a look at that. All right. In relation to blouses, if you have missed it, Gabrielle from The Cloth Edit, which is a beautiful fabric store down in Australia, and Tamlin from Sewn on the Tyne are they've done the Sew a Blouse challenge on Instagram. I've got a few years now in the running. Really fun challenge. You just have to make a blouse in the month of April. The hashtag is Sew a Blouse 25. Make a blouse in the month of April, post it on Instagram, and you're eligible to win prizes, like really good prizes. They've got some really great sponsors. And you can enter as many blouses as you want. And this isn't a random pick. Like they actually go through each entry and pick things based on certain, they'll have like different winners for different things, like maybe best teenage blouse or different things, best use of color, stuff like that. But they go through and pick those winners, and you can enter it as many times as you would like. I am going to be entering my new Love Notions aria that I just made that has the different colored buttons that you guys saw. So stay tuned for that. But I thought I'm part of the vlogger tour for that. So this is my stop on the vlogger tour of giving you some inspiration. They define a blouse really as any kind of woven top. Anything that, I mean, some people say it needs to have buttons on, you know, whatever. And they talk about that on Instagram as well, about what really is a blouse. But basically, it's a woven top that you just need to post on Instagram and for a chance to win some prizes, which is really cool. So today we're going to be going through 10 easy to sew blouses that you could essentially make up right now. So let's get into that list before we get too far. All right, I've got my list down here. So if you see my eyes go down, I'm looking at my list. So I've got things popped up here. All right, I have made most of these. Not all, but I've made most of these. I think all but 1, 2, maybe 3. Yeah, I think I've made all but 3 of them. And one of them I've got, of the 3, I've got ready to cut out. So I'm actually getting ready to make it. Okay, so number 1 is the Pattern Emporium Sweet Talker bubble sleeve blouse. If you follow fashion at all or kind of anything that's trending, puff sleeves are everywhere. They have been for a few seasons now, but especially embroidered puff sleeves. So I'm absolutely, this is the top that I have not made yet, but I'm actually going to make it to recreate a ready-to-wear look. And I'm going to be using my embroidery machine to embroider the sleeves of this blouse. I was going to hack a different pattern, but I've decided, Jenny was like, why don't we just use this one? Then you don't have to hack the pattern. I'm like, oh, yeah. And I already owned it. It was in my Pattern Emporium catalog. So I am actually going to be making this one. But it's got this really beautiful bubble sleeve that are all over the place, like everywhere. So if you're using embroidered fabric, or if you have an embroidery machine and want to embroider your own fabric, like I'm going to be doing, this is a really great one to use, I think. Pattern number 2 is the new Itch to Stitch Vicos top. I also have this one. I've made the dress. I actually haven't made the top, but I've made the dress of this pattern. Love it. But I've got a top ready to be cut out as well, and some linen rayon that I've got in this poppy color. It's really beautiful, like a warm red-orange color. Anyway, really beautiful top, and that it's got just this really beautiful, like, neckline, notch neckline, just a straight sleeve. You can do the tab. It's got a short sleeve or a split sleeve that's on there. Just a real simple woven t-shirt blouse, for lack of a better word. Perfect for tucking into things, wearing as is. I think it would be beautiful. Any of these would be really beautiful in a statement fabric, because a lot of these have I was going for simple, so minimal design lines and minimal seam lines, which means you're not going to have as much breakup with seams for like a large scale print, or if you want to do something with embroidery, because that, like I said, that's kind of everywhere now. Eyelet. I'm actually making this pattern in a dress as well as another dress. The first dress actually went to Jenny. The fabric looked really good on her and she actually ended up grabbing it. So I'm making myself one in an eyelet dress, and then also the top. Really easy to make, a pretty simple sew, especially if you did just the straight short sleeve. So definitely one to look. And Itch to Stitch is by far, their drafting is just impeccable. So you're also going to notice that of these 10 patterns, these are all independent pattern companies. And the reason for this is that I feel like if you are a beginner sewist, even though you might be familiar with the commercial patterns in Big Four, a lot of times their instructions maybe aren't quite as detailed as your independent pattern companies. And sometimes they can be a little bit harder to fit depending on your body and how well you fit into the block that is the Big Four, Big Five, whatever you want to call them, the commercial pattern companies. Independent pattern companies, I feel like, hold your hand through that fitting process a lot more. There's a lot more instruction on how to do that in the patterns, as well as a lot of hand holding and sometimes even videos that walk you through not only how to construct, but how to do some basic pattern grading and alterations in order to get a really great fitting final top. So that is why I've gone with independent pattern companies for this one. Some of these patterns are PDF only, but some of these have printed copies as well. So you'll just have to click the links. They're all in the description box down below, and it'll take you directly to those patterns. All right, next up, we have got the Seam Work Kit. Seam Work actually has a lot of really great base top patterns. You can buy their patterns just one-off if you want. They also have a club that is... Oh, I have a discount code actually for 50% off their club for the year. You buy it for the year. I was grandfathered in. I pay for it, but I was grandfathered in from the very beginning, so I have a very low rate that I pay. But anyway, it is, I do have 50% off the unlimited, gets you access to all their patterns. They've got a huge pattern list, but you can also just go online and buy patterns one-off if you would like. But they've got some really great basic patterns. But I've gone with the kit because a few things. Number one, it's got that beautiful sleeve that's just very, very in right right now. Beautiful V-neck line. It's got a little bit of gathering, just a little bit easier to fit when you've got those softer gathers. It may also have darts, but a lot of times the dart bulk is also taken up in those gathers, so it may not be as large of a dart, a little bit easier to sew. But I thought this would be really beautiful. If you want to wear it more blouse-like, you could tuck it into, a skirt or a pair of trousers or whatever the case, or wear it a little bit more casual as well. Also, I'm going to go talk a little bit about fabric as well once we get through our list, especially if you're a newbie, so stay tuned for that. Okay, number 4 is the Love Notions Ballad Blouse. If you are someone that maybe you have a couple of woven tops under your belt and you want to try a button band, love this pattern. Now it's got 2 options with the yoke here. You can do like shirring there through the yoke, which I would say is maybe a little bit more, not advanced, but if I wouldn't necessarily do shirring if you're brand new to sewing. I would choose the gathered option. Both are beautiful. It has a few different sleeve options. You can also go sleeveless, I believe. Anyway, it's a great introduction to a button placket. So if you're wanting to branch out from just like a woven t-shirt style top into something a little bit more detail, this is a really great pattern. And I don't have to undo the buttons to get the shirt on over my head because the neckline is nice and wide with that V. It's really beautiful. It's really, mine is in a rayon crepe and I love wearing that top. I think I've got the flutter sleeve on mine, but there's a few different options for that as well. Okay. Number 5, the Cashmerette Montrose. Now, like I mentioned, they have got a ton of patterns that could have fallen into this category in their club patterns, but as far as their regular catalog, I wanted to give people an option regular catalog. The Montrose is it's a beautiful woven t-shirt. They've got some beautiful options that are sewn up like in a lace, so if you're wanting to dress it up a little bit, or you could make it a little bit more casual and like, again, a rayon or a silk, or linen, if you just wanted something a little easier, breezier, especially as we're going into warmer months here in the Northern Hemisphere. But it's a really lovely shirt. It's got a couple of different options with a yoke or without a yoke there on the back. But yeah, something a little bit more dressed up than just like a knit t-shirt. Something, more of a blouse, which is why we're talking about these. All right, number 6 is the Chalk and Notch Wren. This is a lovely pattern. I have made this as the dress as well as the top. It's got a couple of really cool sleeve options on this one. Again, that bigger, puffier sleeve if you're into that. It also features a button band with a facing that finishes off that neckline. So a little bit easier, you're not making a button-up shirt where it's, a lot more details and stuff like that. This is kind of a gateway from woven t-shirt into shirt making world. But it's a really lovely pattern and has cup sizes, as does Cashmerette and Love Notions. Seamwork drafts for a larger cup size, C in their regular range, double D in their curvy range. Itch to Stitch has cup sizes from A to D. And I think the Sweet Talker also, the Pattern Emporium, some of her patterns have full bust fronts, and I'm pretty sure that the Sweet Talker is one of them. Okay, Chalk and Notch also has cup sizes. Closet Core Patterns, the Cielo. This is such a great like cropped woven t-shirt. It's interesting in that it's got a dart that comes from the armhole as opposed to a side dart, just something a little bit different. I've made this quite a few times. In fact, I think it may have been during the pandemic. I got on such a kick with the Cielo. It made like 5. Which is odd for me. I'm not normally a pattern repeater. I made 2 dresses. One of the dresses I had to do a petite adjustment on myself, so it did not fit very well, and I ended up getting rid of that, which is too bad because I loved the fabric it was in, but it just didn't fit me very well, and it wasn't an easy alterable fit adjustment to make. But the other ones I just wore to death, and I still have 2 that are in my wardrobe still, and one of them's getting pretty, like it's looking worn, like the seams are looking kind of worn. It was a little bit more delicate fabric. No, I think I have 3. I have 3 of them still in my wardrobe. Anyway, lovely top, has a couple of different sleeve options. I've only made the lantern sleeve once on a top, and that's one of the ones that's still in my wardrobe. The others, I just did the little short sleeve, but it's a really lovely pattern as well. It makes it beautifully in linen. I've made most of them linen, and then the last one was like a crocheted, with the lantern sleeve, it's like a crocheted kind of lace kind of fabric that I wear over a tank top. So anyway, lovely, lovely pattern. Number 8 is Tilly and the Buttons Stevie. Now I've made the dress of this. I've not made the top yet. So easy, especially if you are a beginner, because there's not a sleeve to set in this one. It is a dolman style or a grown-on sleeve, same thing. Short sleeved, has a little cuff on it. Great if you're using a large scale print or just a really beautiful print that you don't want to be broken up with seam lines because you don't even have a sleeve seam on there. Makes it a little bit easier to fit as well. Nice and boxy. It's got a keyhole opening in the back, which makes it really easy to sew if you're a beginner. I have made it in a double gauze before. It was a Nanny Eero double gauze. Really, really beautiful. Fortunately, it was before I had my colors done. And when I made it when I was like really blonde there for a while, like too blonde. There's happy medium there. Anyway, when I took my hair back to its natural color, well, a little darker than my natural color at that time. This is pretty much my natural color. I had some highlights put in, but this at my roots is my natural hair color. If you can see just like right there, because it's been a while since I've had my color done. So anyway, I digress. The dress no longer looked good. The colors threw me off because it was very much a summer palette fabric. So that ended up going to my cousin, actually, who is a summer palette. Number 9 is, I've not made this one. This is the Sinclair Alva. It is a newer pattern, also dolman sleeve. It has a few different options with like sleeve options. It's got a little bit more simple, or you've got, if you want to zhuzh it up a little bit. One of my favorite things about sewing is finding sewing patterns that have a few different variations. So once you get the fit down, or even the instructions, and then you want another top that's maybe similar but doesn't look quite as the same, it's so easy to have a completely different looking garment just with different fabric and maybe a different one of the variations of the pattern. And Sinclair has this. I'm not sure if they've got full bust. Sinclair Patterns does have full bust in a lot of their patterns. Tilly and the Button does not, and Closet Core does not either. But I think they do draft for a C cup in their larger size range, I think. Sinclair has patterns that have full bust, and that might be the case with this one. But what I really love about Sinclair Patterns is that all of their patterns have a petite, regular, and tall file. So it's not just, you know, the petite file is not just a shorter hem on the top. They've taken it shorter in all the areas. So like the weight, like all the measurements from the drafting are all like a little bit shorter. So, you know, the shoulders might fit you a little bit better. It's a little shorter, you know, from bust to shoulder, a little shorter from, you know, bust to waist, all that kind of stuff. And then the opposite for the tall file, it's a little bit longer in all those areas, which I can make their petite, I've made a couple of their patterns, and the petite file, I don't have to shorten anything. I can just keep it as is, which is really lovely. Anyway, this would be another really good one to try if you were looking. And then finally, number 10, the Wardrobe by Me, Moira. I grabbed this one because it's just beautiful gathering there into the neckline to give you the shaping, and then it's got elastic that does the gathering at the bottom of the sleeves. This would be extremely easy to sew. If you are a newbie sewist, want to try out some new skills, this would be a very easy one to try. And if you're a newbie sewist, or maybe you're someone that's wanting to get into some garment sewing and you're a little nervous about it, guys, I have a class. I have an Introduction to Garment Sewing class that I offer. It's evergreen, meaning you can watch it as many times as you want. You have lifetime access to the class. You can ask questions if you get stuck on anything, but I walk you through. I mean, you could make any of these tops using that class, because the tips and techniques that I'm showing you, even though I'm using specific patterns in the class, it's the same techniques that you would use for any of these 10 garments. So definitely want to check that out. Also, if you are new and you are like, okay, great, these are some patterns, I would like to try one of these out. What about fabric, which is an important component to sewing? I actually have on the website, and I will link it down in the description box below, but we have compiled a list of online fabric stores and this is all viewer put on. So we're gonna actually, we've gotten more recommendations in from people since we have published this. So we will update the list again, probably in June sometime, and have an even more updated one. But if there's a fabric company on this list that you don't see that you do love, yeah, definitely shoot us a message and let us know, and we'll put that in the next edit for that list. But this is a viewer put together list, and we have got US stores, we've got Canadian stores, we've got UK stores, Australian stores, all sorts of, and Jenny's broken it up by country even. So it's free. It's a free list, so you can just click on the link down in the description box below, and that will give you places to shop for fabric online. But what about types of fabric? If you are a new garment sewist, I would recommend starting with fabrics that have a little bit more structure, such as cotton lawn, cotton broadcloth, cotton poplin, Those are going to be your more stable, easier to use fabrics. Linen is also a very stable and easy to use fabric. It tends to be a little bit more expensive. So it depends on, if you can find linen for a great price, then that's fantastic. But it kind of depends on how much you're wanting to invest if you're still testing out the hobby. But linen is very easy to use and sew and care for, just like cotton. It just tends to be a little bit more expensive. A lot of times the cottons can be a little bit more, little less. So not as high of a cost into trying out the hobby. Now, if you've been sewing for a little bit and you want to try something a little bit, not trickier, but something a little bit more advanced, like adventurous, then we can move on to your viscose and or rayon. That word is the same thing. It's just called something different in different parts of the world. So if you see viscose or rayon, it is the same type of fabric, but your rayon challis, viscose challis, crepes are really lovely as well. Those are going to be beautiful for your tops. I mean, if you come across some silk, a silk crepe de chine or a silk charmeuse would be beautiful in any of these tops. I don't know how invested you are in, or maybe you just have some that someone's given you and you want to try it out. Silk is actually really easy to work with. Much easier than its polyester counterpoints. So polyester can be very tricky and it's much more shifty than the silk that it's meant to be replicating. So just a little side note. And then finally, the last fabric that I kind of mentioned a little bit was cotton double gauze. It's cotton, and so it does have some structure, but because it's a double gauze, so this is a cotton gauze is a fabric that is very loosely woven, so already it can be a little bit shifty. And when you're talking about double or triple gauzes, those are 3 layers, or 2 layers or 3 layers of that fabric that have been attached by little bitty threads like in there, which means they can shift really easily as well. This fabric also can grow kind of easily, so it's not hard to work with by any means, and I love wearing double gauze and triple gauze. Just if you're a beginner, I might steer away from it a little bit as well. It can also have like a crinkly texture a lot of times. You just want to make sure you get that ironed before you cut out your pattern pieces so that things don't get huge as you wear them, and that sort of thing. So there's a few little tricks with cotton gauze, so maybe not your first fabric to start with if you are getting into garment sewing. But those are the fabrics that I would look at if you are wanting to try some blouses, and yeah, low cost to entry there with those cottons, but still easy to handle, and still it's going to give you a really beautiful finished garment as well. All right, guys, that is all I have for today. Are you going to join the challenge? If so, let me know down in the comments below. I'm going to be joining the challenge. I've not made my post yet on Instagram, but I will be joining the challenge for the hashtag sew a blouse, or hashtag sew a blouse. Oh gosh, and now I can't remember what it is. April sew a blouse. Okay, I'm putting the hashtag right here. I'm going to get it wrong. And I want to make sure you have the right hashtag. But again, I've got a link down below that'll take you to all the directions and instructions and rules and all that kind of stuff for the original post on Instagram. All right, guys, that is all I have for today. Let me know if you have questions down below. I hope you have a wonderful week. Get some sewing in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.